So we've already really gone through introductions, and thanks for that because that really helps me to tailor this a little bit more to your own settings or identify things that might be relevant to you. And sorry, before I go into it, I just want to say as well on the call today, we have Noelle O'Kane, who's one of our tutors in NALA. She's an adult literacy educator with us, and she's also a member of our panel of verifiers in NALA. So Noelle does communications, maths, and health and safety awareness for us. So she's a great resource to have on today if anyone has any questions, and I'm sure she'll pipe up throughout today to chime in on anything that might be relevant. So, okay, so our agenda then. So I just want to talk briefly about what NALA is as an organization, if anybody doesn't know us, and then I'll talk about NALA or Learn with NALA, our e-learning platform. I'm going to go through the differences between learner accounts and tutor accounts, and then how to help your learners create accounts, register for courses, how you check their progress, and then also how you use recognition of prior learning on the website and support learners with portfolio work and getting QQI certs. I'm going to then at the very end, I'll go through some tips that I've learned from tutors over the last few years and just give you some of the resources that we have on the website as well. Right. So I guess what is NALA? In a nutshell, NALA is the agency in Ireland which aims to support adults to improve their reading, maths, and computer skills. We also work with organizations to support them to use a literacy friendly approach. So they could be public organizations, private organizations, or not for profits like ourselves. Um, so before I go into I suppose, the stats on literacy in Ireland, I don't know if anybody wants to maybe have an idea in their own mind. Um, do you know what percentage of adults in Ireland have literacy needs below level one of literacy? Maybe have an idea. Like, do you think it's, 5%, 10%? Like, what would you think it might be? So so this is the stat at the moment. So we've got very up-to-date stats at the minute. The PIAC survey was done in 2024. And we know that 21% of adults in Ireland are at or below level one of literacy. Um, so on a practical level, I suppose that would mean that they would find it difficult to read a bus timetable. They would find it difficult to follow medical instructions. So that would be something like maybe when we had the COVID-19 pandemic, how to follow some of the guidance that was being issued then, or giving a child Calpol, like how do the instructions around that. Um, so I suppose it's quite stark, really. And then when we look at numeracy, so maths, we have about a quarter of the population in Ireland would struggle with numeracy. And what that means is they would find it hard to work out a discount, such as, 50% off, or even find it hard to divide up a bill in a restaurant. And again, that's a very recent stat. That's from last year. And when we look at digital literacy then, so computer skills, um, about 38% of adults in Ireland would have uh, digital literacy skills at or below 38, or sorry, at or below level one. So that would be something like, sending an email or, looking up a website in an internet browser or something like that. So then what is Learn with Nala? Um, oh, I'm just seeing here, sorry, did Anthony Burchell get in? He was struggling to find his
Yes, struggle is over, Brona. Thank you.
Anthony, lovely to see you again.
Yes.
That's fine. So yeah, I'll just keep going for the time being because I know you, Anthony, but if you've any questions, feel free to pop in and ask anything. Okay, so what is Learn with Nala then? So, okay, Learn with Nala is the e-learning side of Nala. So it's a free e-learning website, and we support learners to learn at their own pace. If they want to do it at home or in a blended approach, they can, with a center as well, they can do that. Um, Generally, we ask that our learners are age 16 and over. So that might be relevant for, is it Jane and Aileen in the School Leavers project? The content is all designed for adults. We're funded by Solus, so we just ask that learners are age 16 and over who are using the platform. We have a support helpline as well that many of you are probably familiar with already. That's run by Jennifer and Paula. And we run that Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And I suppose that's there in recognition of the nature of the people that we're all working to support. They may need an awful lot more help to engage with a digital platform like Learn with Nala. Then we also have quite literally thousands, Noelle will attest to this because she had to try and organize some of it, thousands of resources for learners and tutors. So we've a treasure trove of PDFs and workbooks and things like that. If you wanted to use them for any of your courses, I'll let you know where they all are in this presentation. And then just I suppose in terms of who we're supporting, we have about 3,000 learners registering with us every year, and we give out about 2,000 QQI awards every year. So it's a big enough operation, really. It's a national website. Okay, so we're going to get into it now, a little bit more about how the platform works. So on Learn with Nala, then we have learner accounts and tutor accounts. So for the purpose of this presentation, I tend to use Paula O'Connor's tutor account to show you what a tutor view looks like. And I use this is a fictional learner called Mike Smith, and I use his account to show you the learner view because they have different types of, their accounts do different things. So you mainly have a tutor account to monitor your learner's progress. So you do this to be able to kind of guide your learners through courses and have a look at how they were getting on. And then learners tend to use Learn with Nala for blended learning. So what does it mean to be in a Learn with Nala centre? I suppose each centre that registers with us tends to have tutor accounts and learner accounts that are tied to their centre. So say, for example, Youth Reach in Bantry would have, say, a number of tutor accounts, maybe 4 or 5, and then they have an unlimited number of learner accounts. So they can use a learner link to generate as many accounts as they need, and they're all tied into their own centre. And then outside of, say, that Youth Reach, they're in, say, Dublin Northwest Partnership, they would have their own separate learner accounts and tutor accounts, and they wouldn't be able to see anything in Youth Reach Bantry. It'd just be a separate centre. And we have about, I think it's something like 247 centres at the moment around Ireland, and they all have their own tutor and learner accounts. And then outside of that, then we have independent learners, and there's about 3,000 independent learners. And they would be people who aren't ready to take the step to go into education yet. They may never set foot in an educational institution or a centre like the ones you're working in, and they would be learning at home. A lot of them, and they tend to rely a little bit more heavily on our free phones. So like Jennifer and Paula, more than learners in centres that you guys would be supporting. For obvious reasons, they don't have people like you to help them. So they tend to call a lot more. Um, and I guess the reason why I'm explaining this to you is because sometimes in your centres, you'll get independent learners coming in. So you might get someone coming in saying, oh, yeah, I actually, when I was in my, I don't know, my direct provision centre, I was set up on Learn with Nala, and I got a few certs, but now I'm starting in your organization. And generally what we say for those is just let the independent learners finish out their courses, and then you'll use your center's learner link to get them registered under your center. So once they're registered under your center, then you'll be able to see what they're doing with your tutor account, and you'll be able to support them a little bit more. I'm just going to show you now what a tutor account looks like if anyone hasn't seen it yet. So this is going to be Learn with Nala, and what I think is Paula O'Connor's tutor account looks like. So this is just her profile information up here. Then she has a notification bell, messages, the course waffle. So this is the list of all the courses that she can go in and have a look at. She's going into internet skills here. And this is the internet skills level 3 module, the course home, and then content to get to all the lessons. So she's clicked content, and now all the lessons are going to show up. You can see that's what to already know. And then you have here internet tools. So she can start away on that to look through the different lessons. Click back on course home to get out of that and go to the course home page, and then the home icon up there to get back to her tutor home page. So just the page with all the courses on it. And that's really it. I know a lot of people, say to me that it looks quite like a Facebook or, on other social media platforms with notifications, messages. It's all the sort of functions, I suppose, that we've become used to now. Does anyone have any questions before I move on?
Hey, Brona, can I just ask,
Yeah.
does the organization set up the tutor accounts, or is there some kind of action I should take on my part?
Yeah, just send me an email. That's me. I set up the
Perfect.
tutor accounts. So just email me. Or actually, who's the center lead in your
Patricia
organization?
McMahon.
Yeah, so just send me an email and CC Patricia, just so Patricia knows, and I'll say that you've done the training, because usually I ask if there's any new tutors that they just make sure to come to this. So you're just ahead of the game, Aoife.
No
But
worries at all.
just email me. Yeah, that's no problem.
Brona, just on ours,
Yeah.
if this is nearly the bit I'm having the most problem with. We have 2 or 3 links, and they all seem to bring you into a kind of a course rather than a learner. And when I went on the phone, someone said, look, to get into a learner, you have to go into a course first.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
I do,
Yeah.
yeah. It's really confusing me now. It's the one thing I'm finding the problem with.
Great. Thanks for letting me know,
Yeah,
Tom, because what you're trying to do, you want to see your learners in the course, you want to see your learners progress and see where
yeah,
they are.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I want
I'm
to make sure that the link I have for learners is separate as well, so I don't give them that.
Yes, yeah, you don't want to
No.
give them that, because
Yeah,
then they'll just keep
yeah,
making more and more accounts for themselves.
yeah, yeah,
You're
which
dead
shouldn't be
right.
done.
What I'm going to do is I'll spend a little bit of extra time on what you've just said there. It's going to come up in a towards the end.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
I want to do the more basic stuff first,
Yeah,
but when
no,
I get
grand,
onto that, I will highlight it and just ask as many questions as you want, because
okay,
we have the time.
okay,
Um,
okay.
but
Verona, I have a question there as well.
yeah, Anthony.
I would like to have a list for each student to know what subjects they're registered for. And it would be great if I could see the progression that each student has on that particular subject. So at the moment, we have something like 40 students, and
Yeah.
they have registered with different tutors in our center for
Mm-hmm.
different subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And to get an overview of what that student has already registered for and where they are in it without having to individually go into each subject.
Yes, I can show you that as
Like
well.
a student progress.
Yeah, the overall student progress. Yeah,
Yes.
I can show you that as well.
Brilliant.
So yeah, okay, so we want a lot on progress, but that's fine. We'll spend extra time on that today. All right, so just for people who are slightly newer to this than Anthony and Tom, the one of the main things I suppose that you want as a tutor is to help your learners get set up. So there are two steps to that. One of them is to get them to use the learner link that Tom alluded to. And then the next step is just getting them to register for courses. So learner links, each of your centers would have their own learner link. So once you apply to become registered with us and your center does their own training, they get their own link. So what I'm going to do now is just show you an example. So this is Cove FET, and I will pop in. Oh, okay. I'm just going to get out of share screen. And I'm going to go back in. Now, can you see that okay? It should say register, step 1. Is Noelle, can you see that?
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Yes, I can see that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay. I was like, it's just radio sounds. Okay, perfect. So this is Cove's learner link. So the main thing is, as tutors, say if you were working in this centre, just make sure to use the learner link when you're registering your learners. And this is what their registration page looks like. So create your learner account. You have to create a username. So they'll give you an example. So some tutors tell me that they like to use a sort of a standardized username, like, you know, Tom Kilkenny 2025, and all their learners will be that kind of username. That can help if learners are likely to forget usernames. Password then, and they need an email address, and they also need a PPS number. And the reason why we ask for a PPS number is if they're going for QQI certs, that's something we have to have. And then you'll see here under Learning Centre, see the way it says Cove Further Education and Training Centre there. I can't edit that. I can't change that. And that's what you want. So then that's how you know, okay, they're tied to my centre, they're in the right place. If you're registering a learner and that doesn't come up, then you know you're in trouble because you're not setting them up correctly. So it should always have your centre name in it. And if it doesn't, it means you're actually setting them up as an independent learner, which is not what you want to do, because it gets very messy then, and their QQI certs won't go to your centre. We won't be able to talk to you on the phone too much about your learners because we don't know that you're their tutor, and on and on and on. So anyway, ideally set them up under your learning centre. And then you just click create account and it's done. So that's getting them set up. I think it's fairly straightforward, really. And then the next step then is to register for a course. So generally then, in choosing courses, we have our level 2 and our level 3 courses validated for QQI awards, and our level 1 and preparing for level 3 courses give a NALA certificate. So we're at the minute, we're in the process of getting our level 1 courses validated, but I don't know if any of you have been through it before, but it's a really lengthy and difficult process to get them all validated. So this is what the course page looks like. So if you click into online courses and scroll down, you can see all the different courses that are available. So I think there are about 48 of them now. And you can choose what you want: reading, writing, maths, computers, what level you want to filter by. Or you can choose short courses or the major awards. You can also just search if you know what you want. You can type it in. So you can see there on the right, see that NALA certificate little icon. So that shows what's NALA cert versus QQI. and you can see what level or if it's associated with a major award. And here we are now into all the QQI awards. So the level 2 awards there are all QQI accredited. And you just click register now. So that's how a learner would, once they click, say, register now, then it comes up saying, are you an existing user or are you a new user? So they'd be an existing user because, you know, you've just set them up with an account using your learner link. And then all they do is enter their username and their password that you've just made with them. They click login. And then it says checkout. So this shows them, it says, thank you for registering for level 1, setting learning goals. To start your course, log in to Learn with Nala. So they can click there and use your username or password. And then it just gives the help information as well if they're finding it hard to take that step. They'll also get an email to their email address that they used to register, just saying you've registered for this course, click this link to begin, all that. And I suppose I've met a couple of learners who actually use this to navigate into their course every time. So they always go to their email and click that Learn with Nala link to find their course again. So I used to think that this was very important to mention, but I guess it is because learners seem to use it. And that's it. So you've set them up with an account and you've got them registered for a course. So that's really it for getting them set up. So does anyone have any questions on that part of it?
Brona, back to the learner accounts that are set up, that you set up. We're set up here in Bantry still for 2, West Cork Adult Education and Youth Reach Bantry.
Yeah.
And both are still coming up, and one of my students is in Adult Ed. Can we transfer him to Youth Reach? And the other thing is, can we completely take away the drop-down menu, the option that for Adult Ed, because we don't use it in Youth Reach?
Is it what was West Cork Adult Ed?
West Cork Adult Ed, yes.
Oh yeah, so
it's still in the drop-down menu.
Is it?
For
Okay.
but only for some subjects.
Right. Yeah, that should be gone altogether. What I might do is actually I might talk to our technical team and see if we can just disable that.
Yes, that would be brilliant. Thanks.
Yeah, I did see a few West Cork learners. So sorry, just for context for everyone else, West Cork and Cork in general, we're doing things a little bit differently for a few
Yes.
years, so that won't be relevant for everyone else. But it's tricky to they're trying to manage 2 different systems. But it just shows the value you do need to. It's annoying if you're a center and you don't have your learners set up under the right center, because it's hard. It's hard to view everyone. Did I see something just come in the chat? Oh, okay.
Rona, is now my time to ask the questions, or
Yeah, of
just
course.
no? Just I think it's fairly okay. I was under the impression, I don't know why, that you would use different links for different categories, but from what you're saying there, am I understanding you just go in on the one link?
Yeah.
And then you kind of, if you like, go down to your individual learner from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Yeah,
okay, that's where I
spot
was
on.
making my mistake. Okay.
After
Yeah.
this, Tom, I'll just double check your link
Yeah.
and I'll email it to you just so you're crystal clear
Yeah.
on the right link to be
Yeah.
using.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah.
That solves, as Anthony
And
will
Shelley, sure,
attest.
that's you're the same as well. We're on the
Yeah.
same link, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah. So I'll
brilliant.
CC you as well,
Yeah,
Shelley,
yeah,
as well.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant.
All right. So, okay, this can get a bit confusing for people now. But I want to flag it with you as tutors, that Learn with Nala is 2 websites. So this is not necessarily something I would ever share with a student or a learner. But I just want you to know, because you'll be guiding people through this and you might you may have noticed it already yourselves, or learners could be coming to you a little bit confused, and you'll know what's going on if this issue comes up. So you saw there when I was signing up for that course and I was looking through all the courses, I was on this blue website here, the one on the left, learnwithnala.ie. And this is where you sign up to courses and where you register. The one on the right, learn.nala.ie, is where your learners will spend 95% of their time. This is where all the courses live once you sign up for them. So it's where all the lessons are, where they'll be going through the actual learning. But any time that they want to sign up to a new course, they need to use the blue website on the left. And the reason for this is we just can't, the technology doesn't exist for us to marry these two together. So for when I was trying to learn this a few years ago, and trying to figure it out in my own head, the way I remembered it was learnwithnala.ie is like a shop where you go and buy the courses, and once they're bought, they appear in your other website. That's the way. Now, obviously, of course, everything is free, but it's, the way it said checkout there when I signed up for that course. So that's how I remembered in my own mind. And then learn.nala.ie is where all the learning happens. That's how I remember. So you might have a learner trying to log into learnwithnala.ie and saying, I can't find my courses. And that's because they're in the sort of the store or the shop, and they need to go to learn.nala.ie. So you will all have copies of these slides. I would usually just bookmark learn.nala.ie as the one that I use most, and just direct learners to there if they get a little bit confused. But we do everything we can to bounce learners into the correct website. Like you saw that with the email or the thing that popped up to say, click here to start your course. So we'll always try and direct them into the correct place. But just in case, you might notice this on occasion.
Rona, when
Yeah.
you register for a course in the blue website, in the Learn with Nala, then it asks you to log into your account
Yes,
from there, and then it takes you to the
correct website.
okay.
Yeah, it will. It will. We will do, as I say, everything kind of will point
Yeah.
you to the right place. But there's always one or two learners that get themselves, kind of confused about where to be. So just in case, I tend to try let tutors know about this. Right. So I'm going to quickly show you finding courses. This is the learner view of courses for a centre that signed up with us in August. So you can see here underneath their banner, the learner's 2 courses are right here. And then when the learner goes up to his waffle, there are the 2 courses there. So the learners will always only have the courses they signed up for. You have them all, but they only have the ones they signed up for. So that's pretty straightforward. Now, this is a different learner. So this learner is in SPHI, and she has been doing courses for years with us, right? I tried to find someone who's been doing courses for a number of years. So she has a lot more courses on her profile. So I just want to show you that. So she has March 2020 to June 2024 courses. You can see these all here. And then she has her July 24 to June 26 courses, and she has 6 of them there. And then when she goes up to her waffle, there are, there are a number of courses that she's signed up to there. So next, what I'm going to do, this is now a tutor account. So this is a fake tutor account, but I just want to show you what it looks like, because you'll have all 48 courses on a tutor account. So you saw there with the learner from Spina Bifida Hydrocephalus Ireland, I was toggling between 2 blocks of courses. One of them was registration block 1. So courses where the learner had registered between 2020 and June 2024. And then the second block was courses where learners registered between July 24 and June 26, so in the future. And I suppose the idea for this is that we want to be able to give learners a chance to complete their courses. So they'll have, between 2 and 4 years to complete a course with us. But we also want to be able to update the courses because we weren't able to update them for a while. And, especially the digital ones, they get old, they go out of date. So basically, if you've registered before June 24, you need to complete your course by June 26. And if you registered in between 2024 and 26, you have until June 2028 to complete your course. So you can see at the end here, it shows you when the course will close. So this is for the slightly older courses. So all of our older courses will finish in 2026. And then we'll be uploading new versions of them and phasing them out. So it's just how we keep the course, I suppose, relevant and up to date. So there is a time limit of between 2 and 4 years to do them. But I think it's fairly easy for tutors to navigate between those two courses. You can toggle between them underneath your center banner. So that is that one. So just a quick reminder then. So the courses will be under your center banner, like I just showed you, or they'll be up in your waffle in a long list. So now what I wanted to do is just go into recognition of prior learning and how we manage that on NALA. So recognition of prior learning is like the pre-assessment, and it's a way for learners to fast track themselves through courses if they already have knowledge of the course. And the reason we have this is because we acknowledge that adults tend to come to education with a completely different profile. Like they may have higher areas of knowledge in some sections of the course depending on their life experience. So each task in the what do I already know section, so it's like an assessment. So each block or each question in it relates to one of the lessons beneath. So it's each relating to a learning outcome. And then if a learner shows us that they know about that already, they don't have to complete that lesson. So I'll show you a video on this now. So this is me completing our recognition of prior learning. So I'm going into listening and speaking in the newest version. I'm popping up to the content here. And now what do I already know shows up as the very first thing that learners do. And most learners will give it a shot. So here it is. What do I already know? And I'm going to go in and start answering questions on it. And I guess it gives instructions as well. And just to make you aware, they'll get a recognition of prior learning badge if they get everything right in this. So they'll know if they've succeeded. And that can be great for learners that are lower confidence. This is me just starting to complete the task. I'm not going to make you watch me do all of this. So this is, we'll fast forward to the last task. And then I click check answers. I got 6 out of 6. I'm reached the end of the quiz. And then it gives me directions on what to do as a learner with how to figure out if I've got this right or not. So it goes in, it says new content available when I click that. Oh, and then when I click it, it brings me straight to the end test. So I guess anyone who knows this knows I've gotten everything right. So I've gotten everything right in what do I already know, and it made the end test available to me. I'm checking my badge. I'm after getting my certificate of achievement in listening and speaking to say that it says I've completed the lessons, but I haven't. I've just gotten everything right in what do I already know. So I'm also going to go in as a learner now and check my progress up the top there. And I want to see, okay, have I gotten everything right? Let me just double check. I click on the grades drop down menu and I'm looking through all my tasks here. And on the right, you can see it says pass, 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 pass. So that means I've gotten everything right. It says I'm in progress on listening and speaking. And if I scroll down, there it is, the end test has popped up. So the end test isn't available unless I've either done everything or gotten what to already know right. And now I'm going to start my end test to finish this out and to get on my way to get my cert. So that's just an introduction to what to already know. It's a really handy tool that's built in. So just to recap, end test will only appear if everything in the what to already know assessment is answered correctly, or if you just do all of the lessons in the module. So some learners just want to go through everything, and that's fine. Or if, say, the learners get some of the RPL or the what to already know lessons, say they got some of them incorrect, they just complete the lessons that relate to those tasks. So the pathways to the end test, the first one there on the left is that, yep, you answer all the tasks correctly and the end test pops up. That's what happened in the video that I showed you there. So I didn't need to do any of the lessons. The other thing is, you know, you don't get anything, you don't answer anything correctly in what to already know, and that means you just have to do all the lessons. And then the other option is, like I said, say, for example, I get task 1, 2, and 3 right in what do I already know, but I get task 4 and task 7 wrong. So then all I need to do is go and go and complete lesson 4 and lesson 7, and the end test will pop up for me because I only need to do the lessons that correspond to the incorrect tasks.
Can I ask a question there, Brona, please?
Mm-hmm.
So, if a student gets the task correct, does the lesson still appear as an option for them?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Unfortunately, what we would love if it grayed out
Yes.
the lessons that they don't need to do, but we
Yes.
can't make it do that yet. So what they need to do is go into my progress, check their grades, and it'll say go to lesson if they didn't
Okay.
get the task right. It says we don't use words like fail or things like that. It just says go to lesson, and then they just need to complete the lessons based on the incorrect tasks.
So if they did get the task right, there would be no indication that they would have to go to the lesson. It wouldn't be like, so you have redo and then you have go to lesson. Or
Yeah,
like,
and it'll say pass if they got it right.
pass. Will it say pass in the lesson if they get the task right? Or does it only say pass in the lesson if they do the lesson and get the lesson right?
It'll say in my progress. If when they go in to check my progress, it won't say anything in the lesson. The lesson you won't know. It'll just be there, as it always is, but it'll say it under their my progress, or if in your tutor view under the class progress, you'll see it'll say go to lesson, if they haven't got the task right.
Okay, so in the tutor class progress,
Yeah,
if
click
it says
on the
if it says on
learner.
that blue bar,
Yeah.
then they've it done. Okay.
Yeah. So generally that's one of the number one things that comes up. So if a learner, that's what Jennifer would always say, and Paula as well, our two support officers on the phone, they say most of the time, most of their queries on the phone can be solved by telling the learner to go to my progress, going into their grades, clicking that drop down, and the learner will then see if it says pass or if it says go to lesson or redo. So go to lesson and redo means they're the ones that they just need to redo. We use redo for the end test and go to lesson for what to already know. And but you'll know quite quickly because it'll say successful and unsuccessful if they've got it, and they'll get awards and badges and things like that. So Yeah, so that's how they can check that. And then just to go into QQI, I suppose just the big caveat, QQI is not my area of expertise. Noelle will know a huge amount more about this than me. But just for you guys as tutors to know, to get a QQI cert on Learn with Nala, you just need to have your end test completed, and you need, if relevant, you need to have submitted your portfolio. And those two things together means that the course has been completed. And you will be automatically then, your learners will be put forward for a QQI award. So you don't need to tell us anything. It's just it's almost like our system does a scan on midnight on the night that our round is due, and it'll put everyone who's eligible forward for us for assessment. So the next round is the 21st of May, and we tend to have another one usually around November time as well. And I suppose the next piece is around the portfolio work, but I just wanted to check in with you, Noelle.
Mhm.
As a verifier, would you have any tips for the tutors on submitting portfolio work?
Well, they probably know more about QQI than I do, but just what we look for, the instructions are written on the documents, and sometimes they may need to be updated, but let's say for communications, we have to be very strict with it. So there really can only be one error, and that one error could be just a full stop. So they need to just read clearly the instructions, spelling, grammar, full sentences, that kind of thing. The maths one is often misread, maybe that task one has to be posted in. We can't correct it off the screen. So they have to scan it and upload it, but it has to be posted in as well, or otherwise we can't correct it. So those are the kind of things that come up. Yeah, I mean, when I go in, I can see when they click I'm ready, then I'll see them on my screen, and I make contact generally for communications tasks 2 and 3. So if they don't click I'm ready for any of their assessments, they don't appear for us.
Right.
And
Okay.
then we send feedback telling them what has to be done, or else they're passed.
And
So
that
it's either
feedback comes up in the notifications, doesn't it? That little bell
yes,
icon for the learner, they'll get a little notification saying a Nala tutor has contacted you, and then it'll say if
yeah,
they need to do anything, right?
that's a redo. Yeah, we'll click redo and tell them what corrections have to be made, or else it's passed. It's small things that come up, like in the maths one, when they have to do the area of a room, they write in 5 multiplied by 4 equals 20 meters. It has to be 20 meters squared.
Oh, okay.
It's small little things like that sometimes that have to be done. Again, try not to be as strict on the grammar and spelling in maths, but nonetheless, we do have to do some of it. They have to write down the number of mils, so it has to be mils and has to be meters, not feet and inches. They come up occasionally, believe it or not. So it's those kind of things that we're looking for there. But that they can ring us as well if they need extra help, or they can ring the free phone and ask for
Brilliant.
help, or again, likewise for tutors if you're
Brilliant.
not sure what the corrections are.
Yeah, and that's helpful to have. I'm just going into managing personal finances here because I just want to show the tutors what the portfolio oh, there's no portfolio here. Maths level 3, you were just
Maths,
speaking
yes.
about that. So if I go into the content here, the portfolio, this is a huge course, but the portfolio will be down the end always.
Yes.
And am I right in saying, like, say if someone is in a center and say they're doing something on area or something like that, can they just be tipping away at this portfolio as they're going through the course, or is it better to do it at the very end?
Well, it's better to do it at the end because it is available there, yeah.
Yeah.
But even if they've done the three tasks, the 3 assignments there, they won't get a successful grade until all the end tests are done.
Yes, yeah. So you need the two of them together to be put
Yeah,
forward for a QQI. And I guess it'll be disappointing if the learner didn't get the end test, but they had their portfolio done. That might be a bit hard to, yeah.
they'll still
Um,
have to go back and do the end test questions.
yeah. I've just popped into the portfolio here just so anyone who's not familiar with it can have a look. I suppose it gives an overview first, and then it'll go into each assignment, and it gives very clear instructions on what's needed. So this first one is that maths drawings you were referring to.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, sorry, Brona, this is probably the biggest one there. And for all
okay.
the tutors, like it's easy enough, but for the learners, it's things like the labeling and putting their names on it, and
Mm,
you know, the correct measurement. And as you know, they're asked to do a circle there that's 50 millimeter diameter, but it
mm.
comes in with a 50 millimeter radius and things like that.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And then so you post it in and then you can
has to
upload
be
it
posted. Yeah.
here. Now, the vast majority of our stuff isn't like it'll say if it needs to be free posted. Most stuff is actually just an upload, but this is a bit of an exception, this maths drawing.
Well, I think it can confuse people there because they have to upload it, and sometimes people might read that as one or the other, but it
Yes.
isn't. It
Okay.
has to be posted in.
Yeah. So just take, I suppose for people, just make sure you're really familiar, I guess, with the instructions, and yeah, just go through it with the learners and probably check their work is quite key as well. But yeah, it's great. It's great to hear from Noelle. I'm conscious of time here, so I'm going to keep going because I want to spend time on progress. But that is the portfolio. And now checking learners' progress. So this is something that I really want to get into. So once your learner is linked to your center, what you can do is go in and check their progress. So the main thing, Tom alluded to this earlier, the main thing to remember about checking progress is if you want to know about your learner's progress in a course as a tutor. I'll talk about what Anthony wanted to know in a minute, but basically one of the main ways to know about your learners is if you want to know what their progress is, you have to go to the course that they're doing. So if I want to know about maths level 3, I have to navigate into maths level 3. If I want to know about my class that's doing computer literacy, I have to go into that. So here I am going into computer literacy level 3, and then I'm going to go into course admin. And I have two options here. I can go into class progress or grades. So I'm going to show you class progress first. And here are my learners. So these are just dummy accounts for confidentiality, but you can see a broad overview here on the content that they visited and the grades and whether they've been successful or not. So I'm going into Mike Smith here, and I'm going into his progress summary. So you can see the grades drop down menu. I click that arrow there on the right, and it shows the tasks. So he's started What Do I Already Know, and so far he's passed everything on it, which is great. So he's passed task 1 to 3, so he won't need to do lesson 1 to 3. And then when I go back out as well, I can view this in another way. I can view this in the grades view. So this shows my class doing computer literacy, and it's quite a visual way of seeing it in the red and green. And it'll say pass if they've passed a task or an end test item, or it'll say go to lesson or redo if they've not passed it. So it's a very quick overview. Then if you want, you can actually download that as an Excel spreadsheet. So I know for some people in disability organizations that might have certain reporting requirements, this can be really helpful. So they can tick the areas that they want to know about for the learners. And then they can click down the bottom there, it says export to Excel. So I can hear about each or download information about each learner individually or my whole class, just depending on what you tick. And then I've downloaded that grades export there, and you can see it has a big Excel spreadsheet of my learners and their percentages and everything. So that can be a handy tool if you need to do that kind of level of reporting. And okay, so I want to show, so to answer, Anthony had a question there just around progress. So I'm back here in Mike's account, and I'm going to his homepage. And for a learner, learners can do this just to make it a bit easier for them. You can't do this because you would have too many learners in your tutor accounts to do this. But Mike can go on his homepage and click My Progress. And you see here it has all the courses along the side here that he's tried. So he can go in and just go to where he's at in any of his courses. I even have, because poor Mike has done a lot of courses. But he can click in here on any of these. So I'm in managing personal finances here, and I can go into his grades and take a look. So that's on his learner account. So learners can do that if they want to get a broad overview of all of their courses, like Anthony was just speaking about there. So I'm just going to finish out the presentation because I'm just conscious that some people will have things on. And then if anyone wants to ask questions, just I can stay for another half an hour after this if anyone has anything they want answered. But we've just 4 more slides to cover here before the end. So these are just our quick tips. When you're going through, when the learners are going through what do I already know or the end test, they have to click check answers to submit the answer. They have to click that. Some learners will just click the correct things and then press the next arrow, and that just skips it. So they have to always check answers, or else it'll come up that it hasn't been completed. And then you probably have cottoned this on, or you may have noticed it already, but task and lesson and question will let you know what part of the module that you're in. So what do I already know? The RPL initial assessment, everything in that is called task 1, task 2. When you're in the lesson content itself, in the module, everything is lesson 1, lesson 2. And then in the end test, everything is called question 1, question 2. So in that progress view, you'll know immediately when you go in, because task is always what we already know, or RPL, and question is always the end test. So you'll know what part you're looking at, or even if you have loads of learners in class and they're putting their hand up and saying, I'm stuck on question 3, you'll know that they've got as far as the end test. You'll see here on the right, see the ticks beside the content there. Ticks just mean that something has been visited. It doesn't mean that it's correct. And lots of learners struggle with this because ticks are the universal sign for correct. So I acknowledge that that's confusing. But really, it just means that they've been to the screen. If they've been to that lesson, they'll need to go to progress or my progress to see whether they've got it correct or not. So this can be confusing because sometimes in the end test, a tick will appear beside a question and the learner thinks, great, I've got that right, but it just means that they've attempted it. So generally then, more tips for you. In your help section in your tutor account, there's a PDF tutor guide, and that covers so much more than I'd be able to tell you about in an hour today. It really is. It covers everything to do with Learn with Nala. And I know some tutors, if it suits their learning style, like to just print this out and have it beside them when they're getting used to using Learn with Nala. And it can be helpful. In that help section, there's also a section called tutor resources, and that's where all of our free PDFs and worksheets are. So do make sure to have a look at that. And then the other thing just to flag is you need to have an up-to-date web browser to use Learn with Nala, but it'll stop you. When you try to log in, it'll come up saying you need to update your Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or whatever you're using if it's an old version, but that can be an issue for people as well. Then for your learners, the same as you've a tutor help section, there's a learner help section, but the learner help section is mostly videos. So you can support them, I suppose, for particularly in learning disability services, it can really be supportive for independence for your learners, to encourage them, I suppose, to help themselves around some of this. So if they're looking for a lot of support from you, you could say, do you want to check out the help section and see, you know, if registering for a course is on that, and do you want to try it yourself? So that's one thing you can do. And then I just have links put in here for yourselves in the slides. If you want physical copies of our workbooks, you can order them. You don't need to be a, you know, a manager or centre manager to order our workbooks. You can just follow the link there, nala.ie/order resources, and you can order any of those to have as hard copies. And then on nala.ie/tutors is where the PDFs for the resources are. And that's it. So that's the end of the slideshow. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording. And then if anyone has any questions,